And we are back live, folks. I am Trainer Joey, along with my co-host, Trainer Darian. We have another myth bust for you today. And Darian, will you please give us an introduction?
The myth is women should train differently than men. Now, initially, I was like, Joey, why would we talk about this? It's going to be the shortest podcast episode that ever was, because the answer is that's ridiculous. Of course, women do not need to train differently than men. But then as we got talking about it, it turns out there are some nuances here that we can discuss. So,
Yes, big time.
yeah, and my first thought was like the only reason really that I can see that women could be training differently than men, they don't have to be, is around their menstrual cycle. Because at different points in the menstrual cycle, your hormones are affecting your muscles, your energy levels, like pretty much everything in your body, your heart rate, your temperature. So, I mean, I think there is some, and it's very trendy and popular right now. And I think that's a good thing that more and more women are paying attention to their cycle and where they are in their training phase. So that's really the only reason that I can really think of that women could be training differently than men.
Yeah, during pregnancy, for sure. Oh, hey, ring,
Yeah.
ring, ring.
Hello?
Stacy Sims is calling. Should I pick it up? Because we should bring her on to talk about this area expertise.
Oh my gosh, pick it up.
And
Yeah.
listener, if you haven't heard of Stacy Sims, please check her out. She is like all things female. And I owe it to Darian for introducing me to her. She was on Huberman, and that was the most downloaded podcast of 2024. Do you know that?
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But yeah, around pregnancy too. And I was telling you a little story before we started, is that when I would train young females like 11, 12, 13, just starting puberty, I had to train them a little different. And the reason being is because we'd have these coaches and these parents come and tell us, hey, I need little Susie to run super fast. I need her faster, I need to jump higher, etc. And her body was working against her. Like when women, this is outside my scope, when girls start going through puberty, things get different with their hips, right? Obviously the breast development, hormones. And so they may not need to be the super skinny, agile person, right? Like it was hard. It was very hard to have the conversation with these parents. And it took a while. It took me a while to get some gusto to be like, hey, their anatomy is trying to do this and you're trying to make me do this, and we need to find a balance here. So yeah.
Now, I would argue though that it's probably the same for boys around that age though, because think about changes in boys' bodies when they're going through puberty. It's like their arms are getting longer, their legs are getting longer, like everything, your anatomy is changing. And even for boys, that's going to affect, if they were deadlifting a certain amount of weight and then all of a sudden they jump up in height and now their body mechanics, you have to readjust to your new height and the shape of your body. I would think that that's probably true for both athletes, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of hypermobility issues we had with our boys. It's kind of weird because you think men are just stiff as boards, but the other thing is boys weren't as coordinated as girls. I call them motor morons sometimes, because if they weren't active before age 7 or 8, I often found that with these extra leg lengths that they were kind of goofy. They couldn't really, seeing them squat looked like a baby giraffe, trying to stand up. It was just this kind of portrait of disaster, because there were these new neural patterns forming with these extremities, and I would have to really dumb it down to teach them good movement. We'd have to go to the floor so they have a base of framework to work against. But anyways, back to the conversation here. I think muscle works the same way in men or women. And that's pretty apparent in today's athletes. A female is just as strong pound for pound. She may not have muscle as much muscle on her frame as a male, obviously, because women have more. I believe it's more water, right? Less muscle, and vice versa. Or sorry, no, more fat than muscle, and men have more muscle
Hmm.
and less fat, right? And there's a ton of reasons for that, but I believe that a female can be pound for pound strong as a male, and that's pretty evident in even the CrossFit Games athletes, because there's girls rocking out 50 pull-ups and clean and jerking. Gosh, I don't even know how much, like up to even 200 kilos. Like Thorne's daughter, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
or what was her name? Camille LeBlanc. I met her
Hmm.
once at a DSN conference. Strong, man,
Yeah.
way stronger than me, way more mobile than me, and definitely better smile than me.
That's for sure. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I think like what it comes down to, it's not that women need to train differently than men, but there are physiological differences, right? Like the muscle makeup, what you said about fat storage, where women tend to store fat versus where men tend to store fat. The hormone, there's a difference in hormones. So physiologically, there are differences, but that doesn't mean that women shouldn't be strength training, that they can't get as strong. Like they 100% can, just like you just said, that they shouldn't be, training upper body versus lower body. I mean, people tend to, and I don't know if this is actually like super accurate, but I think that it is that men, I mean, I think just genetically, they tend to be stronger in their upper bodies versus women tend to be stronger in their lower bodies. So while it might be harder for women to do pull ups, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be training pull ups. So I think those are all the things to take into account. Like, yes, there are differences, but it doesn't dictate how a female should be training. The other thing I want to point out is that, like, obviously, as women get older, the hormones continue to change. At some point, you're going to be in perimenopause and in menopause, and that's going to dictate potentially a lot of training differences, but not in comparison to men necessarily, but more just in comparison to what were you doing before, what is this new life phase that we're entering, and what's best for you as an individual. So I think, like, while there are a lot of reasons to change up your training, women, as we age and during our cycles, I think the changes should be in comparison to just ourselves, not to a male counterpart, for example.
You know something fascinating I recently learned about women and men?
Tell me.
You ever heard of the Donner Party?
Yeah.
Like they went kind of cannibal, right? There's this fascinating book called The Different Stars Above, and I just got done reading it maybe a couple months ago. But in extreme cold temperatures, okay, for survival, women can outdo men. They'll live longer. They'll survive. You guys will survive much longer than us. And that was pretty evident in the Donner Party, where like I forget the statistic, but I think like 70 some % of men had died, and only like 30-40% of women had died. And there was like some speculation, like, well, the women had newborns with them and they had more purpose. They felt like motherhood was keeping them alive. But they broke it down physiologically, and they were saying that because of more quote unquote fat storage and a lower body temperature, there was less change and difference. So women are badasses. And I'll get back to the thing here, saying that the times are a changing. Bob Dylan, shout out, that women are really getting to the gym and not looking for the cardio equipment. They're like, hey, where are the racks? Where are the platforms? Where are the dumbbells? Where are the bros lift? Like, I think the fitness industry over the last 5-10 years is seeing that big shift into the women are starting to realize that they need some serious strength training. Darren, you can speak to that. I mean, you love to lift. You're a little old muscle hamster.
Thank you, Joey. Yes, I am. Yeah, I actually think, and I don't know if you would agree with this, I think the big shift came with CrossFit. I think CrossFit originally was started in 2001. It was so small out in California. It didn't really start to blow up until like 2011, 2012. And I think it's at that point that we started seeing women lifting barbells. Because before that, it was like only like fringe women who were like bodybuilders or like really elite level power lifters. But even then, you didn't see a ton of women power lifters. It was more just like bodybuilders. And I hate to even say this, but it had this like stigma of like the freak show vibes of these women that are like so freaking massive. And that's what all women were seeing in terms of like strong women, is this like fringe edge case person who's like a serious bodybuilder. And they're thinking to themselves, oh, I don't know about that. That's a bit extreme for me. But then CrossFit comes along and we're seeing women lifting barbells and it's becoming mainstream. And we're just seeing that they look insane. They're just so strong. Their physical capabilities are like beyond what we've seen women doing before. I mean, obviously there's always been female athletes, but we're talking about like outside of sports, women were doing cardio, like you said. And now I go in the gym and I noticed the other day, every single platform was a female lifter. There was not one dude in the gym who was on a platform. It was all women. And I turned to my workout bud and I went, I'm loving this female energy right now. All of us lifting barbells and like the dudes just like at the cable machine and the dumbbells. And it's just such a change. It's just such a amazing, perfect, beautiful change and shift in like what we're seeing in the gyms. And because the thing is like, I know everyone's heard me talk about cardio a bajillion times, but like, ladies, cardio is not it. If you want to be, well, but wait, yes, if you're an athlete, if you're a runner, but even runners, you definitely need to be strength training. Go back and listen to our episode with Kaylin. She is like so pro cross training and strength training to improve running. But all I'm saying is like the days of thinking that you just need to go and be a cardio bunny to get skinnier, those days are over. And I hope they're never coming back. Okay? We're lifting weights. We're building muscle. We're becoming badasses. We are independent women in the world. And that's what I love to see.
Strong, independent woman, if it ain't no man. I want to go back to the cardio bunny term. Where did that come from? Cardio bunny?
I thought that was a thing. Did I make that up?
I've heard of like pool bunnies, but never.
I'm looking it up. Is cardio bunny a thing?
Okay, what about this? Talk to the listener, because we've touched on this before. Okay, let's say I'm a female. I'm new to lifting, age 20 to 50, I guess. And I see a CrossFitter who has a ribbed six-pack, who has boulder shoulders. Am I going to look like that if I strength train like a man, Darian?
Let me circle back. Cardio bunny is a thing, I confirmed. So, look, here's the thing. Is what you're saying, women are scared to get bulky? Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yes, because I think that is a myth that we need to pound on.
I agree. I mean, look, there are women genetically and men genetically who build muscle faster than others and bigger than others. I mean, here's like one of the examples I love to use. Like if you do look at like, for example, a figure competition or bodybuilding competition, all of those people on that stage have been training essentially in the same way. Same movements, same like duration, frequency, very similar training styles, and are at a very similar body fat percentage at that point, which is super, super, super minimal. And they all still look so different. The way that the muscles form, the way that the muscles look, every one of them looks so different because of genetics. So you're going to get some people who are easy gainers, who just naturally, easily put on muscle and are very lean. And then you're going to get some people who are hard gainers. It is hard for them to put on muscle. It is hard for them to put on weight. And then you get a lot of people who are somewhere in the middle. You also get a lot of people who easily build strength, but they never look bulky or quote unquote, or like hypertrophy, but also it depends on your training style. So I just want to say that, like, yes, there's truth in if you are genetic, easy gainer, yes. Lifting weights, you could potentially quote unquote bulk up, look bulkier. But for most people, strength training is not, you have to seriously dedicate your life to very specifically training. That doesn't mean you're going to the gym even 3 to 5 times a week and just doing some full body routines, lifting heavy, but not like lifting super specifically where you're like going to failure, like training for some sort of competition. You also have to be eating very specifically. So unless you're dedicating your life to looking a certain way and like building muscle, you're going to end up just looking fit and strong and healthy. You're not going to have like huge bulging muscles. But then the point, and I've made this point before, which is, why is it so bad to look bulky? Like, what is so scary about looking bulky? I think really what it is just this, it's diet culture. It's this like leftover old school thought that women should be slim and skinny and slender and look dainty and fragile. The days are gone. Women are buff, okay? And that's what we want to see. Ladies, let's just get on board with like, hey, you know what? I just want to live in the strongest body that I can live in and feel my best and be able to take out the trash bins and carry the groceries and carry my kids. The amount of stuff I carry as a parent, I'm a Sherpa, okay? If I wasn't lifting in the weight room, I literally don't think I would be able to parent. I would just be exhausted and on the floor all the time.
I think it has to do with comparing. We have this disorder, not OCD as what you think of it as, but we are obsessively comparing ourselves with people, and especially social media. We talked about this before. For whatever reason, right? Women, I find, are more prone to comparing themselves physically with one another. I was talking to my wife about this in Mexico, and like the female brain to other female brain, like more so comparing than men. Like men don't really, I don't know, I always had the saying, men are kind of dumb. Shocker, right? Except for me.
But you're a wrestler. Means you're one of the dumbest.
Lowest IQs, sadly. But there's that more so comparison. And just because that girl looks like that or that girl looks like that doesn't mean you have to. Like, ladies, like Darian said, go hit the weights. Go get some confidence, right? Don't ever feel like you're trying to live someone else's life when you want to live something different, to live your life.
And you know what? I just want to touch on this because I want to recognize and acknowledge and validate that when you're living in a body you're not comfortable in, that is painful. Because I've been there. I have had horrible, horrible body image during my time on this earth. And it is so painful to wake up every day and to just hate what you see in the mirror, feel so uncomfortable in your body, feel so uncomfortable in your clothes. And that body image, it has nothing to do with actually the way your body looks. It feels like it does, but it's not about the way your body looks. It's about the way you feel. It's it's your perception of yourself. It's about your own self-worth. Because my body has really not changed much over the years. It looks essentially the same as it always has, despite all the eating disorders, the weightlifting, the cardio. It's not changed that much, but my feelings about my body have changed. It's a mindset game. It really is a mindset game, and it's hard to overcome it. But the magic bullet is not changing your body. The magic bullet is doing the internal work. If you've been on this journey for a long time of having really bad, poor body image and feeling so disheartened, and you've tried everything in the book and it's still not working, when do you start accepting who you are and living your best life? Because you can do everything you want to do right now. You do not have to wait for your body to change. You can do it right now. Imagine a world where you look exactly how you want to look. What would you do? I guarantee it, whatever it is in your head, You can do it right now. And I know there's like extremes on either side of this situation, but for the majority of us, we can do it right now. The best way to build confidence is not to change the way you look. It's to change how you feel. And the best way to change how you feel is to start lifting weights and getting and feeling capable and strong. Would you agree?
I would agree. Let's change the world one person at a time. Through this podcast, I think we did a great job with AD. Thank you for that. I think our ladies need to hear it from someone in the fitness industry, from someone who's been in the game for how long, D? Like 15 years now?
More than that, Joey. I'm coming up on 20. I'm a very old woman. Just kidding.
Thank you guys for listening. Once again, we'll be back with more myths that you need to hear, need to be busted.
Thank you. Bye.